What is going on? Eclipse had been pacing for around 10 minutes. He had found himself in the back room of the West Arcade, but he was certain he had been at the main entrance to the Pizzaplex just a moment before then. This had happened a few times now. He would be in one situation, blink, and find that something had changed. No matter how hard he tried, his memory during those gaps of time was far too thick with static to sift through. I have to be able to figure this out! I have to fix this! Eclipse growled as his steps became heavier. But how do I fix what I can't even detect? With his mind so preoccupied, Eclipse didn't notice the door open. He didn't notice anyone coming in. He didn't notice anything until he felt fingertips gently grazing his arm. He jumped, startled both by the sudden touch and by the rush that ran through him. He turned sharply to find Ruin, or maybe Ruin Eclipse, standing there. Ruin Eclipse flinched slightly. Sorry, I'm still figuring out the best way to get someone's attention without frightening them. So far, nothing has succeeded in not being startling. Eclipse could hardly believe it, but he was somewhat relieved to see Ruin Eclipse. He sighed as the start wore off. It's fine. What are you doing here? Oh, well, I was just outside here working on one of the machines, and I heard quite a bit of noise coming from here. A lot of shouting, mostly. I just wanted to check on you. As much as Eclipse wanted to turn him away, even he could recognize that Ruin Eclipse might be the best person to talk about this with. He also had experience with memory gaps, after all. After a brief internal debate, Eclipse sat right where he was, gently tugging on one of his rays. I don't know what's going on with me. Everything will be normal, then I'll blink and I'll suddenly be somewhere else, or the person I was just talking to will vanish. Ruin Eclipse's eyes flashed for a moment as he stood, stunned. Eclipse was opening up to him? As unbelievable as it was, he knew Eclipse must be in great distress to crumble like this. With his mind catching up to the situation, Ruin Eclipse joined Eclipse on the floor. Yes, I'm quite familiar with that experience. He started to reach a hand out to place it on Eclipse's shoulder, but he held back, thinking about how Eclipse has always shrunk back from his touches. I'm not going to lie to you. It never gets less terrifying. But I'll listen if a simple vent session is what you're looking for. Eclipse fought with himself once again. What was he doing, spilling his guts like this? Sure, Ruin Eclipse can relate to the memory issue, but why did he feel such a strong desire to actually tell him everything? As this debate went on in his mind, Eclipse sat silently. Eclipse, I am going to be completely honest with you. You have two choices here. Accept help, or continue suffering. After a few more moments of silence, Eclipse spoke up. Can you tell me what it's been like for you? After taking a moment to process the question, Ruin Eclipse let out a soft hum of understanding. I see. For me, it's less that I blink and suddenly find myself elsewhere, more like taking a nap in the middle of the day and waking up disoriented. I can never quite tell how much time has passed when it happens, and my consciousness returns to me slowly. Does any of that resonate with you? Eclipse hadn't once looked at Ruin Eclipse. He didn't want to see any pity in those red and blue eyes. He simply groaned, pulling on his ray slightly harder. Sort of. He finally risked a glance at Ruin Eclipse. Are you ever able to glean anything from your memories during the gap? Sometimes. I sometimes have brief flashes of images from Those times. There's never anything major, though. Nothing clear. What is it for you? Static. Fog. Absolutely nothing I can pick out and analyze. Eclipse had the brief thought to mention a commonality between a lot of these instances. Ruin. Nearly every time it happened, Ruin had been involved in the last thing he could remember. But, like before, he couldn't even begin constructing his statement. He was forced into silence on the matter. Meanwhile, Ruin Eclipse had been watching Eclipse during this inner conflict, and he could see the struggle immediately. You want to tell me something that you can't, don't you? His voice was heavy, already knowing the answer to his question. The ray Eclipse had been tugging on was suffering nearly as much as Eclipse himself. Ah! Why can't I say it? Why can't I remember anything? As if he momentarily forgot the situation he was in, he stopped, wide-eyed. He looked over to Ruin Eclipse, realization sinking in. And why am I just sitting here crying to you? Ruin Eclipse sat in wonder, watching Eclipse bury his face in his fist in a desperate attempt to hide his tears. This was the one who single-handedly put Sun and Moon through hell for the longest time. This was the one who wished to destroy the world and remake it in his own image. And yet, he wasn't. He didn't do those things. He didn't even remember the reasons behind most of what his old self did. Eclipse really wasn't too different at all. Ruin Eclipse broke the silence. You may not be too happy about it, but do you at least feel slightly less burdened now? Just leave. Ruin Eclipse, though ever so slightly hurt, slowly stood. All right. I'll give you your privacy. He turned and took a few steps toward the door, when he was stopped. I'll think about what you said. Ruin Eclipse turned back to face Eclipse, who still had his face hidden, and replied in a warm tone. Please do, Eclipse. He then continued out the door without any further interruptions.